We're going to do all we can to be good, but we're not going to change our dislike to the person who has grieved us or done something we don't want. We won't stop gossiping because we'll have nothing to talk about if we do. All these things tell us that the individual is searching for something better, but is holding desperately to the ills he has known all his life. To continue and perpetuate these types of things, and all this becomes part of his journey through the world. Now, St. Nicholas in Europe was never just what we have here. St. Nicholas in Europe was often symbolized by a clerical figure. Very often St. Nicholas or Santa Claus or Kris Kringle wore the robes of a prelate. He was a priest with a croised staff and a mitre. He came as a spirit to people, and he brought with him gifts. But these gifts were for the most part homemade. In Europe, no one in the older days would consider a bought gift, because the bought gift is something anyone can do. But if you sit down and you weave a garment, or you do an embroidery, or you carve something yourself, or you paint something, these things are gifts of you to someone else. They carry you. They're not mechanical. They're not made by the million. They are something that you have prepared over a period of time with someone you love, someone you care for, someone you wish to make happy. This was the way it was in the times of St. Nicholas. There's a story that there was a nunnery near where he lived, and it was part of the ritual of that time that on this day, the 6th of December, the sisters put their shoes or sandals outside their door at night. And in the night, St. Nicholas came and put some fruit, walnuts, or some little symbol in each slipper. This was the gift. Later, some of the people in the early 8th and 9th centuries already hung up stockings. And it was later, but not too far after that the idea that he came down the chimney took form and shape. But these were all devices to signify an explanation for a very simple fact, and that is secret giving. Instead of saying, I gave it to you, to the child, it was recognized as a gift of the divine to the human. It was really secret giving because it came from a secret level of yourself, not from the outside personality that carried the pocketbook, but something inside of you was a secret giver. And in life, something inside of each of us is the secret source of good for those we care for those we believe in, for those we hope will be happy. So that Santa Claus represents a spirit of generosity in ourselves. It's something in which for a moment we forget what we want and what we would like and what we demand of life to help someone to be happy. What is the greatest joy that we can bestow upon another person? The answer probably is happiness. What is happiness? Is happiness the new fur coat or the new car or things of that kind? No. Happiness has nothing to do with what you have. It has to do with what you are. It is a fulfillment of inner need. Happiness is being at peace with yourself and looking out upon a good world which you can understand, or upon a problem which you can bless because it is going to, in the end, be of value to you. All of happiness, therefore, comes not from what you have, but from an inner sense of safety, an inner sense of unity with life, an inner sense of being one family upon a little ball floating strangely in space. We have here a problem that we're going to have to face more and more. We can't move out of this environment very well. The idea that we may civilize another planet is still rather too remote to be considered important. We are here on a little molehill, which we are outgrowing very rapidly. We have less and less land. We have to destroy more and more in order to survive. The very earth and the elements are polluted. We are constantly creating unnecessary problems and causing suffering to each other. We are making more and more munitions and at the same time crying for peace. Actually, we are wearing out the world as we know it and the patience of whatever that creating power is, which has to be God, the only being in the universe that has no limitation upon patience. Patience is a virtue perfected in deity. Deity waits and will wait until the time comes. Deity will win. In the meantime, however, we get ourselves into a lot of trouble. And we are watching, and we are not doing a thing about it. We are not teaching our school children. We are taking away from them their faith. Our educational system emphasizes the reality and inevitability of crime. Our entertainment is mostly the dramatization of crime and delinquency. Our literature is largely commercialized to the point that truth is sacrificed to saleability. Practically everything we have is compromised and developed and directed for profit. As this goes on, we're going to get in trouble because there just isn't enough of everything to do what we're doing with it now. There isn't enough clear air. There isn't enough clear earth. There is not enough clear water. All these things must be conserved instead of wasted. But in order to conserve the resources of our planet, we must overcome our own selfishness and self-interest. We want everyone to economize except ourselves. We want to continue to do as we please, waste as we please, and worry as we must. All this is something that around this season of the year we should give a little thought to. We should realize that regardless of all the schemes, plans, legislations, and legal patterns that we set up, that the actual problem is to learn to respect one another, to learn the hope, faith, and love are the only solutions to the human dilemma. Until our faith is strong enough to change our conduct, nothing will change. And if only when our love expands to include all that is necessary for the security of the whole world, will our love be a medicine against the ills of the day. There is no way in which we can continue to be self-centered without becoming ultimately self-destructive. Now, when we say self-destructive, we don't mean that the individual who fails is going to cease, but he's going to carry forward with him the karma of his own conduct. He is going to continue to perpetuate here and hereafter the problems of his own nature. He must come back again and face what he has caused. And it would be much nicer if he could come back to a world that is already better because he has made it better before he left. We have now, in the next 10, 20 years, most people have a good, reasonable life expectancy. It would be a good plan to sit down very carefully and look yourself over and look inside. See just what's in there. See what you might consider to be your greatest virtue. Are you cheerful in times of trouble? Are you inclined to avoid responsibility? Do you hate easily? Do you forgive slowly? Do you have anybody in your life, anywhere, living in this world, who you would not invite to your home? Do you know anyone who is gone, who is remembered only as a negative and destructive memory? Go through these different things and weed out the attics and basements. Get rid of all these things that prevent the individual from growing and becoming better, and in this way helping to build a better world for everyone. The world's happiness is vested in each individual citizen. Confucius said, the security of the empire depends upon the integrity of the home. Do we have solid homes? Why do we not have them? It's largely because we do not want the responsibility of them. We want all the fun and none of the work. We want to avoid and evade the responsibilities and obligations of maturity. And what happens? The trouble sets in. And little by little, we find our own personal security swept away because of the collective destruction. Now, the saints became symbols of those persons who were martyred because of their dedication to good. We have an excellent reputation for destroying our benefactors. Most of our great teachers have been persecuted. Many of them have been executed. And many others have been simply ignored or ridiculed. We have very little gratitude for anyone or anything that invites us to grow. We do not want to grow by effort. We want to grow by miracle. And this brings the religious problem strongly into focus, and I think we should mention it. Namely, that there is no trick by means of which you can escape the normal responsibilities of life. You cannot intellectualize your way out of your own conduct. You cannot follow some system that makes it unnecessary for you to improve yourself in order to become a better person. You cannot buy perfection. You must earn it. You cannot buy maturity of insight. It cannot be transmitted by printed page or by voice. It has to be inspired by a devout and honest effort to grow. And when we learn something better, and we know it's better, we must live according to it. Unless we put the living part in, we gain nothing. Those who would know the doctrine must live it every day. The problem of intellectualizing a problem, solving it without touching the misfortunes of our personal convictions, is just not possible. Everyone who wants to be better has got to be the better in conduct. This is something that is again escaping us because we've been accustomed to buying everything. We buy insurance, we buy cars, we buy homes, we buy elaborate presents and gifts, and we expect to buy salvation. Well, it hasn't been sold yet and probably never will be, because it represents something so completely above and beyond any financial estimation that it is not possible to think in terms of buying our way out of our problems. We can learn all we want to, but everything we learn must change us. If it remains simply in the mind as something remembered, it does no good. It is only valuable when it inspires a major improvement in personal conduct. Most of those who are trying today to find answers to their problems are hunting because of desperation. They're already in trouble. They're already utterly confused. They do not know what to do next, so they're reaching out. Unless these seekers actually change their own ways, there is no hope that anyone else can grow for them or bestow maturity upon their own immaturity. Today we have problems greatly with the need for religion for young people. And we have created a code by which religion is persecuted, not necessarily by an inquisition, but persecuted by penalty. We are not taught religion because it interferes with the development of our materialistic concepts. We are not going to be given religious instructions because it might cause us to forget the importance of making money. We're not going to be given religion because ethics makes us unemployable. And there is no penalty for doing wrong. There's only a minor distress if we're caught. The great problem, therefore, is as long as the system itself is completely unreasonable in the face of nature, we are not going to be able to cultivate any virtue that will not interfere with the perpetuation of the problem we're in. And yet we want to change the situation. We want to get over the problem, but we don't want to take chances that it's going to penalize us as individuals. So we here are working on this situation of trying to get an idealism to children. Now the answer seems to be coming